All right, in the last section, we have completed the HTML part of the project. In this section, we're going to style the project using CSS. So we're going to design it like the final version. We're going to create the container and bring it to the center. So the first things we need to do is to create a CSS file. So I'm gonna open my Explorer section using Ctrl+Shift+E. And here we create a new file and we call it a style.css. Before using the CSS file, we need to add a link to the CSS file within the HTML code. So we need to go to the head tag and just put it somewhere in the head tag. For example, I put it at the end of the head tag after the title tag. I just write down link and I click on the third auto suggestion, the one with the CSS, which is going to give me a link tag with the relationship between the HTML file and the CSS style sheet with the address style.css for the href. So now we can just start styling our project using CSS. First, we start with the body section. First, I remove the default margin. I set it to be 0. So this is going to remove the default margin. Then we add some padding of 20 pixels, which is going to have some space. Let's change the font family to Mont. Serif. We need to put this one in a double quote, and if this font is not available, we're gonna use sans serif instead. So now we're going to change the background color. Gonna change the background color to a light gray, which is F7, F7, F7. So we have done with the body section. Now we just let's start styling this container, this div with a class of containers. So I'm gonna just write down dot container to target that here inside the CSS. And I just wanna change the background color to white. You can just write down white or FFF. Let's say, let's add some box shadow. 0, 0 for the X and Y, and 20 pixels for the I think 10 pixel would be nicer, 10 pixels blurriness, and then we can use RGBA, which stands for red, green, blue, and alpha, and we can just choose 0 for red, blue for 0 for green and blue for black color, and for the alpha I just choose 0.2, which is 20% transparency. Now we can see the box shadow here. Then let's add some padding of 20 pixels to add some space inside it. Let's remove the zoom level so you can see the real sizing. And then we're going to have if you open it now, you can see this is all size. I'm gonna set the maximum width to be 600 pixels, which is this side. And then from bringing it to the center, I wanna add margin of 0 for top and bottom, and auto for left and right, which is going to bring it to the center like this. And in the small size still we have the space because we have 20 pixels padding in the body section. So that's it for the container. Before we forget, in the container, I want to add some border radius as well. So I'm going to add a border radius of 5 pixels, which is going to add a rounded corner for the container. After that, we're going to style the h1 tag here, the heading, which is saying age calculator. So we just say h1. So I'm going to change the font size to be 36 pixels. So I don't know what happened to here. We can use text align center to bring it to the center. And then we can just remove the margin top to 0. And we add some margin bottom of 20 pixels. Okay, that was it for the h1 tag. The next things we want to style is this form, this div with a class of form. So we can target that one just saying dot form. We can change the display to flex to bring everything first next to each other, and then we can change the flex direction to column to bring them on top of each other like this. And then we can use align item center to align them and bring them to the center like that. After the form, we're going to target this label. We have this label here, so we can target that one here by just saying label. And then we just change the font weight to be bold. And we just add some margin at the bottom of 20 pixels, for example. Or 10 pixels. Okay. That's it for the label, and now we can style this input here. So we can target the input by just saying input, and let's add some padding of 8 pixels. So we add a space around that. So for the border, I just want the 1 pixel border to be solid. It means that it's just a line. And then we can use the color CCC, which is kind of gray color. After that, we can just add a border radius of, for example, 5 pixels to add a rounded corner. And then we can just set the width to be 100%, which is going to be in the all here, but I can just set the maximum width to be 300 pixels. It doesn't go more than 300 pixels. So if it's less than 300 pixels, it's going to be 100%. If it's more than that, it's going to be 300 pixels. And then I think that's enough for this. Good. So after this input, we're going to style the button here. I don't know, I have added a button or not. So we missed the button actually. We have to add a button here after this input. We're going to have a button. And the button is going to say calculate age, like this. So now we can just style the button by just targeting the button. And let's add some background color. The background color I want to add is 007 BFF. Let's change the color to be white, the text color to be white so we can see it better. And then let's remove the border. We just set the border to be none. And then we can just add some padding in the top and bottom of 10 pixels and left and right to be 20 pixels. And then we can just set some border radius to be 5 pixels. So we make it rounded in the corner. We add some margin at the top of 10 pixels. And we set the cursor to be pointer, so when we hover over it, we see a pointing hand. And then also when we hover over the button, so we can use the pseudo class hover. So we want to have a different background color. For example, 0062 CC, which is kind of darker color. And also we can add some transition on the background color. For example, I want to have a transition of 0.3 seconds, bit ease effect. So you can see it is smoother, like a transition on it. And finally, we're going to style this result here, which because it's a paragraph with the ID of result, we can target that one just targeting the ID of result. And then we just say margin top of 20 pixels. We set the font size to be 24 pixels. And then we set the font weight to be bold. And also we wanna, that's it. I think that's enough for this one. So now we have done with the, we can bring this one a little bit down by adding the container, some margin top here too. Margin top, for example, 50 pixels. So this is the website we have built. As you can see, we have the title, we have the, now we have a style, the input, the button, and finally the result. In the next section, we're going to dynamically get the data from the input that we put, calculate the age, and then show it inside the results section using JavaScript. So see the next section for the JavaScript part of the project.